Hi, this is Phil Bond for The Hill here in Silicon Valley, and it's a pleasure for me to introduce you to Tarkan Maynard, the head of Dell Wyse. Tarkan, first tell us about Dell Wyse, how that came to be in the business.
So Phil, as you remember, Wyse was a standalone company for almost 30 years in the Silicon Valley and started in Asia actually, then came to US with offshore investors, then US investors. The company went public, private, multiple times. It's been in the PC business, server business, and also in what we call green screen terminal business. You remember those old green screen terminals connecting to old mainframes? You still see some of them in old airports and so on. So the company was an innovative company, did a lot of great things, but in mid-90s, the company got in trouble with the PC market growing very fast against companies like Dell and others. And the company had to innovate, and they innovated and invented actually a new type of device. They called it thin client. They call it server-based computing. Basically a device with no hard disk, no operating system, no applications, everything in the cloud. They were not cool enough to call it cloud. They called it network computing, server-based computing, and so on. And the company became pretty successful with that. And the inventors or innovators of that product are still in our company, like our CMO Jeff McNutt, our CTO Kurt Schwebke, who'll be with the company for 20 plus years. So having said all that, big innovation around software, security, management, and that innovation took us to the leadership mode. We almost controlled half of the marketplace with 50% of market share, growing very fast. Last year we grew almost 60% year over year from 2010 to 2011. And 2012, basically last year, June timeframe, we closed our merger, being acquired by Dell. And since then, we became the Dell Wyse division of Dell. We run now the cloud computing aspects of Dell's story. And we're transforming Dell inside out and also helping our customers with this big, phenomenal end-to-end Dell story from data center to end-user computing and everything in between through our security and management software. So we are one of the few business units within Dell with its own operations can actually deliver solutions to a customer from data center, storage server networking to thin clients, zero clients, and devices like these. We just announced this product at CES, Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas this last week, called Ophelia, an HDMI-driven device. We'll talk about it a little bit more in detail. Things like this. So we're changing the game inside and out, from endpoint devices to backend and all the security software in between, both on-premise and off-premise from the cloud.
Right. So now, when you were backing up for just a little bit, when you were running Wyse before the sale to Dell, I saw you catch several waves at once. Cyber, more secure, thinner, lower cost, greener, more sustainable. So those were waves you caught successfully with Wyse. What are the waves going forward? What do you see coming?
Very good question, and you captured, to be honest with you, captured all the right points. I wish my sales folks that we're hiring right now can capture these things also as well as you do. So as we're starting FY14, our fiscal year 14, we can be even more successful. Before I talk about waves, I'm going to tell you one point, and usually in a public company you don't share numbers, but since we're a division and small division of Dell, I'm going to share some numbers to prove the trend points with more credibility and with more quantitative data in the back. We finished last year as a standalone company just shy of $400 million. The year before was probably around $250 to $300 million level. This year, this just past quarter, Q3, this is right now we're finishing Q4. Q3 we closed nearly at $250 million. So it's basically $1 billion plus run rate we're running right now. So that's pretty remarkable. So usually when large companies buy smaller companies, revenue actually goes down with the distraction of integration and everything else. As you've been through these, I've been through these. This is my 7th acquisition on buy and sell side. I've seen a lot of companies actually lose focus. In this one, from $400 million business now we're going to the $1 billion business. So we're catching all the right waves. I bet there are other waves that we're not catching them 100% perfectly, but I'll tell you, starting FY14, starting this February 1st, 2013, I'm seeing that our pipeline is going to grow faster. So what are those waves? Let me go from a category to category. From macroeconomic perspective, when we're talking to public sector versus private sector, obviously you're very familiar with public sector. You're in DC, you know all the federal agencies. You've been doing this for a long time. As also ex-president and CEO of Tech America, probably you have more knowledge than most people in the industry. And one thing you've done very well, you captured Silicon Valley and DC in a nice way and expanded yourself to other things, and that's very important to me and to our organization. So as we look at this, obviously overall economic volatility, the downturn, the issues in the growth, what's going on in Europe versus what's going on in China growth, those are all critically important. And other economies around those regions, like what's going on with UK, right in the periphery of European Union and European economy as a whole, what's going to happen with Japan vis-a-vis Chinese growth, as well as other areas like Africa, Middle East, and Latin America. And those economic volatility and all those dynamics impact us, our business, our growth model. That's one area. From a trending perspective, we need to be careful of. There are tons of risks, but also there are tons of opportunities. So having said that, the second area is obviously what I call compliance. All the regulation. It's not only in the US. In many economies we actually operate, there more regulation than ever before. Some of it obviously necessary with everything we've been through over the past couple of decades since the Enron and everything else is happening. But beyond that, some of those regulations also impact us a little bit negatively, but it creates opportunities. One area, other trend area from a macroeconomic perspective is obviously these emerging markets we just talked about as part of the volatility about creating the opportunity. At Dell, we have a strategy with what we call E10, emerging 10 countries. These include like countries like Poland, Russia and CIS countries, Turkey, South Africa, the names Brazil, Russia, and China, and everything else we talked about. Usually people talk about BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China. We take that next level. I believe just talking about BRIC is a little bit short-sighted. There are a lot of other economies growing very fast. Look at Vietnam, 100 million plus people growing very fast. We're doing some amazing deals in Vietnam. Indonesia, a lot of opportunities with Arab Spring now into Arab summer. I don't know what's going to happen in the Middle East, but we're seeing tons of opportunity in Europe, Middle East, Africa, from South Africa to Turkey, and so on. So make long story short, one other area is obviously is what I call CSR, corporate social responsibility, public-private partnerships, the things you and I done.
You're right.
We Tech America, the cloud concept we had together, as you remember, how we brought 36 plus companies together and defined the cloud computing standards for the federal government, federal agencies, as well as state and local governments, and innovation, shareholder value. All these things are obviously opportunities and risks for us at the same time. Tying that from a technology perspective, we're seeing opportunities obviously around social, around mobile, around virtual, about going contextual. That contextuality is hugely important. Big data, look what's going on with Splunk IPO, with big data, tying that to security manageability, big deal, big opportunities for Dell as a company, and Dell Wyse as a business unit. Convergence, not only in the back end with storage, server, networking becoming one fabric, but beyond that, actually at the endpoint, that voice, data, video, all integrated into one stream of content. Now we're talking about triple play delivered with one device. Devices like this, imagine this device running Android, connected to your dumb monitor, delivers voice, data, video. It's your virtual PC, it's your phone, and at the same time, it's your high definition TV, all in one.
Right.
And if you lose it, there's nothing on it. Game changes. This is a convergence platform for you.
Price point of...
Look, I'll be very straightforward, and I'm going to share some information here. Maybe I shouldn't, but I like to share information. Like let's make the market grow. A bomb on a product like this is going to be less than $50. My goal is to give this product away. And you imagine if we give this away. Think about all the students, all the schools. Think about the deals we're working on, like Illinois Cloud in the state of Illinois. We just met with state in New York. All the challenges with the budget, budget crisis and everything's going on in DC. You know this better. All the school districts at the state, local level. The budget crisis, people think, it's a risk, I'm going to lose money. Guess what? If you have the right solution, right people, right processes, there are tons of opportunity. Delivering the content to these devices. Voice, data, video with the right data center architecture in the back end, create opportunity for me. Even if I give this for no cost for the end user.
All the services that surround that and everything.
Absolutely.
So you talk social, contextual, converged, and usually people hear those kinds of terms and others you use and think individual, but you're talking enterprise.
Absolutely. So here's the deal. In a sense, enterprise and consumer segments are merging, right? People usually think, this is only enterprise, but once you have a transaction with a telco like SoftBank in Japan, or China Mobile in China, Reliance in India, or AT&T in the US, or Deutsche Telekom in Germany, or MTS in Russia, all of a sudden these telcos and service providers are dealing with the consumer at home. You're a professional, at the same time you're a consumer. The devices you buy, the software you use, the applications you apply to your personal life impact the data flow with the data centers you deal with through the telcos, and those are enterprises. So in a sense, the Dell company, as Dell, we have this opportunity from endpoint to the data center to bring all these pieces together. That's why this end-to-end story, and I'm gonna sound a little bit cliche, bringing the storage, server, networking, that one fabric. By the way, we bought another company called Dell Technologies, which basically is software technology, managing all these workloads, storage, server, networking from one location. Now imagine that system with Dell Wyse Cloud Client Manager, the only cloud-based systems management tool in the marketplace today, delivering endpoint management and management for any device in your infrastructure from one console. Changes the game. Makes it so easy for telcos and service providers to deliver better value for the consumer as well as the enterprise customer with companies like Dell. So these pieces, these opportunities are merging. That's why where people see risk, I'm seeing opportunity. Yeah. Dell's seeing opportunity. So having said this, social, mobile, virtual, converged, contextual, all in the cloud, on-premise, off-premise, public cloud versus private cloud, or even personal cloud.
Right.
Solutions like Pocket Cloud, connecting you to your own personal network and PCs and your personal data sources like, it can be Box.net or Dropbox, whatever that means, or your Facebook. And with all the contextuality, Facebook just launched the new social graph, new search capability. We are part of that ecosystem with our infrastructure from the back end to the front end. That's why I see tons of opportunity around this social, mobile, virtual, converged, contextual in the cloud story. And tying to this, Phil, I mentioned this a couple of times, bringing in the technology in a transparent way to the user through best security, manageability, availability, reliability, best TCO, total cost of ownership, both as a CapEx and as an OpEx, and scale it. And now we're talking, we talked about this before the interview. I used to deal with deals, thousands of units, tens of thousands of licenses of software. Now we're talking about millions of users. Look, there are about 2 billion people around the world really use PCs and smartphones and so on. About 2. We're 7 billion people. The next 5 billion are not going to use the old school fat PC. They're going to go alternative computing devices like this. And people come to me and go, oh my God, Tarkan, what are you saying? Dell is a PC company. No, Dell is not a PC company. We have a very strong PC business. It's our core, it's our DNA, and it's a Trojan horse. It brings us to more transactions and opportunity. But the real opportunity is the stuff you're seeing in the back,
right.
All these data centers, the server storage networking, the security software, the systems management software, and devices like these, and the content delivery capability we have with voice, data, video, all triple play, integrated securely to any user, anywhere, anytime. Changes the game.
So social, mobile, virtual, contextual, I don't have all of them, but tell us how that's changing government.
I'm seeing about our opportunity 50-50. 50% I would say public sector, 50% private sector. The private sector, banking, finance, insurance, retail, NRF, National Retail Federation, is just happening in New York City. Kathy Hotka, our friends, they're doing amazing stuff. We do a lot of business with retailers, as you know. Telcos, huge. But public sector is actually where the opportunity is. I truly believe, and I'm not saying this because you are a big public sector guy and your company does a lot of phenomenal work. Within the public sector, with federal government, as well as state and local governments, education, huge opportunity. People usually see education, budget crisis, there's no money. On the contrary, the money doesn't go away. There's still tons of budget there. And if you have the right solution, innovative solutions to cut costs, school districts, state and local governments, federal government, help you. We've done tons of work with the, previous Bush government, with the local government here, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're doing the same work with Jerry Brown in California, Cuomo in New York State. Same thing in the state of Illinois, state of Florida. Name the place. opportunities are everywhere, and some of these are bankrupt governments. They see the opportunity, and we're doing tons of healthcare deals. As you know, HIPAA as a regulation is a big deal for hospitals and healthcare institutions. From Kaiser Permanente as a private business to hospitals and healthcare institutions which are owned by public entities like VA. We're doing tons of business. One area also, it's a big opportunity that some tech companies miss, and I'm going to share this secret sauce, is what I call cross-federal business, beyond your borders. Things like with United Nations, things like NATO, the opportunities with NAFTA and Latin America, the other opportunities with EU, ASEAN in Southeast Asia, some of the opportunities we have right now with PRC, with China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, what we call Greater China, and some of the transaction talks are happening between Taiwan and PRC, create tons of opportunity for companies like us that we never thought we would have. To be honest with you, I spend 80% of my time outside the US right now because of these big opportunities, and as a US company, we're proud of leading these opportunities. And we're talking right now with the government of South Africa, in Tanzania. We just got back from Lusaka, Zambia, big opportunities with Zambian government around education. Angola is a phenomenal country with all that money coming from oil and gas, and they're putting tons of innovation into education and healthcare. So it's not only federal government in DC, but beyond DC, and obviously as US, we're doing some amazing things as a country. Despite all this, downturn talk, we still lead with innovation, with best practices. You're part of that. So we're doing a lot of these deals right now. We've just closed a cloud deal in South Africa with the school system in the Gauteng region, which is Johannesburg is the federal capital, but also Gauteng state capital. Doing some amazing work with the Zuma government, with ANC government, and we're seeing the benefits. You're selling now computers, everything included for $100, and that's doable. And when those computers are broken and they don't work, they don't need to have an IT guy or girl to fix them. They're all cloud-based. Game changes.
Game changer.
Yeah.
And what are some of the policy challenges you see, the hurdles that need to be removed so we can realize this future you're talking about?
Whenever you talk to Silicon Valley execs, easier way to talk about is, there's too much regulation, this and that. Look, some of the regulation is needed. We all know. Some of the regulation is difficult to deal with. I agree, but it's part of the game. We are all in the same boat, and we deal with it. I don't think none of these policy and judgment calls that coming from DC or Sacramento are, in my opinion, so prohibitive that you cannot do business. Look. We've been growing 100% year over year. If you have the right deal, right people, right processes, you can make things happen.
Dell's been in the news. Dell's made some acquisitions, but some rumors too about a buyout of Dell. What can you tell us about that?
I'll tell you, in the last week, I probably got that question 30 times, and it's not a cliche answer. Obviously, this is, at CEO level and board level. I'm not on the board of Dell, so I don't know all the details, and I don't want to mislead you. But there are tons of news articles and so on. All I can tell you is I've been through buyouts before. I'm not going to speculate on any shape or form what happens at the end. But whatever happens, at the end of the day, I truly believe from data center to the front end and everything in between, with hardware, software, and services, Dell is the only company going through this kind of a massive transformation in terms of processes, tools, products, and people. When you look at the top 5 system vendors around the world, HP, Oracle, Sun, Cisco, let's call it IBM, and Dell. And all the other ones are still there, like they're great companies like EMC, Juniper, let's assume Apple, Microsoft, Google as horizontal companies, but there are 5 system vendors. System vendors meaning they have the data center, the back end, the front end, the services, the software, all of these strong brands. Most of them went through that transformation in the past 10, 20 years. IBM, HP, Cisco, Oracle, great companies. Dell is the only one is going through that transformation right now. I tell you, we are the only startup company with a $60 billion plus revenue. That's why people like me are very excited about being part of this ecosystem. So whether it's public or private, really doesn't matter. If you were private, obviously it will be a little bit easier to talk about other things.
Right.
In every public company, you have some kind of a regulation that you need to go by. But being a public company gets you also a lot of platform. So there are both pros and cons. Doesn't matter. In either case, I think we're going to keep growing. We're going to do some great things. Not every part of the company probably will grow at the same rate. But I'll tell you, since we have so many opportunities, so many different areas that we're focusing on, the areas which are growing so fast and growing in a nice way, strategically, cover those areas might not be growing as fast. So it's a great, I'll tell you, hybrid approach as we go in the market. And I believe Dell's best days are ahead. I truly believe that as an executive in the company.
Okay. Let me come back to something else. You mentioned in passing your own heritage. How did a Turkish guy come to Silicon Valley and end up running an important company and successfully sell it to Dell and stay engaged there? Tell me your story.
So the story, my mother should be next to me right now to be part of this conversation because she can tell the story with lots of vigor. I came to US in 1990. It was still George Bush, the senior president. The booms didn't start at that time. It was just, the technology boom was starting. My background is I'm an industrial engineer, engineering management. I design things. I spent time, in retail companies and so on as I was growing up. I came to US actually to get my MBA, to get my graduate degree in business, and I was going to go back to Europe. Things happened, and I ended up basically working for a great software company in Dallas. I never forget, Sterling Software, which got bought later by CA, by Computer Associates, which I worked for later in my career. So I spent time with companies like CA, IBM, Sterling, a few other companies. I was blessed with my partners and people I worked with. We took a couple of companies public, sold some, bought some, and ended up basically in the Valley doing this buyout of Wyse with great investors, US and offshore Taiwanese investors. It was one of the best transactions I've been involved with. Great team, great company with phenomenal staff. It was a bankrupt company. And with the investors, the right board, right people who are involved, with great management team, we turned this thing around. And I'll tell you, I truly believe this. Best customer intimacy, partner intimacy, best operational excellence, and phenomenal IP innovation with the right people can make anything happen. When those things can come together, anything can happen. So having said that, now I believe I'm in the best place to live and to work. I'm in Silicon Valley, I'll tell you. And you've been here for some time. You're one of the unique DC people, Phil, with your team, with your startup. You understand the value of Silicon Valley and what we can do. I feel Silicon Valley is like Rome, and it's like 50 BC. This place is booming, creates tons of innovation, and now think about the strongholds of American ingenuity, innovation, the Hollywood, the digital economy, our financial system, our school system, and our financial system not only in New York but in the Valley, which actually rewards risk. It's not high risk, high return. We have sometimes low risk, high return. I mean, with things are happening, it's just tons of opportunity. And there's not a day passes by I go to a Starbucks or Pete's Coffee. Pete's Coffee is our kind of a coffee shop here. And I meet 19, 20-year-old college dropouts, high school dropouts, starting new startup companies. And I never stop thinking that this place is going to take us to the next level. People think that, Tarkan, you're so dramatic and romantic. It's happened. From Africa to here, to Mississippi, it's happening. So things like this make me feel like, we're in the right place and we're going to get more values moving forward. So exciting times. It's just starting now.
Just a Turkish guy driving American innovation.
I love it. Love it.
It's been my pleasure to be with you and to introduce you to Tarkan Maynard, a force of nature.
Thank you.